So we're back, reunited, and it feels so good. It's been a while since Nancy and I actually did a training and an episode together, but we're here. Hey, Nance.
Hi, Scott. Hi, everyone.
So, in today's training, in today's episode, I know this sounds like a very weird topic and title, but it is entitled "Who Should Not Be Posting on LinkedIn Every Day." Our honest truth about this. And I know that kind of sounds very weird, but we have four key points that we need to go over with you as to why certain people shouldn't be posting every day. Now, it's not going to be what you think, like, oh, if you're in X industry or Y profession or, Z job title. It has nothing to do with that. And this is going to, the picture is going to become more clear as we dive in. But before we do, a lot of this is based around posting content on LinkedIn. And a lot of people get stuck. They are repurposing stuff from Instagram. And yes, we see you. And we can tell that you're doing that. Nancy, what's the easiest way to tell someone has repurposed their content from Instagram? What's the easiest way to tell? What's the dead giveaway? Really, you don't know?
No, what? I
They
mean,
they copy the content and the 37 hashtags from their Instagram post. So you see people that have like the literally a paragraph of hashtags.
yikes.
Yeah, that's so we don't want to do that. And a lot of people are like, well, where can I get started? So Nancy and I have created a guide. It's a free download and a free template for three high impact posts for LinkedIn content for visibility and actually business growth. So if you're watching on social, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, you can just drop in the comments the word me, M-E, if you would like to download this free resource. If you're listening on the podcast, it's even easier. The description of this episode has that link for you. So if you want to create high impact posts on LinkedIn that actually create visibility and business growth, then you're going to want this guide. So the first thing that I wanted to cover today is there's this post every day advice that a lot of LinkedIn experts push out there. And I really feel that there's a couple missing pieces to this. And I feel like this strategy is a little incomplete in some ways. So, what I will say is this, the algorithm, and I've talked about this in prior trainings and prior episodes, not only myself, but Nancy and I as well. The algorithm does reward for consistency. One of the big things that Nancy and I always talk about is consistency wins on LinkedIn. Like that is 100% true. That if you are consistent, the algorithm will reward you. But frequency without focus, it literally bottoms out your results. Meaning if you're just posting to post, and I talked about this, like we have these boxes that we want to check. Oh, I did my post today, and it could be a garbage quote or a repurposed piece of content or something that's not related to your target market at all. LinkedIn picks up on that. They want quality content over just general content. So we've talked about this that LinkedIn rewards for niche specific content over just generalized content. So there's a key stat that Nancy and I found that we wanted to share. And this is directly from LinkedIn. It says 44% of B2B marketers say producing content consistently is their biggest challenge, and the answer they keep getting is just post more. I saw something recently, and I'm not sure if you saw it, Nance, that people are starting to post 3 and 4 times a day on LinkedIn. Yeah, Nancy just made a cringe face for people that can't see. It is cringe. Like the LinkedIn algorithm is completely different than the other platforms. The news feed is different. It's not people, only 1% of the LinkedIn population is posting one or more times per week. But on the other platforms, you have a lot of more people sharing more frequently because they are personal platforms, not business. A way to reframe that question is it's not about how often you post, it's whether what you post is actually built to do anything for your business. Is what you're about to post going to help bring clarity and visibility to what you offer? Is it going to bring visibility and clarity to who you actually serve? Is it going to bring visibility and clarity on how you actually help people? So, this quote unquote post every day advice, it's a little bit incomplete because instead of just doing general content, you should be more specific in how you approach it. Nance, what's our second key point?
Yeah, well, I think the second point is, I feel like there's like four types of people, right, that just plain need to slow your roll, right? These are the posters who, number one, a lot of people going on LinkedIn and they just feel like, oh, well, I have to post because everybody else on my team or, whoever else is starting to post on LinkedIn too. And they're posting without a clear goal. In fact, I had this conversation just the other day. They're like, well, our company said that we should be posting on LinkedIn. And I'm like, okay, cool. But if you're not actually setting a goal, an intention, what you're using LinkedIn for, you're going to be spending a lot of time doing busy work and not getting any traction. So if you don't have a clear goal of what you want your content to do and what you want your audience to do after, right, they look at your content, then don't post at all, right? There should be intention behind everything. Every post should either build your personal brand, right? Actually showcase you as the expert, the thought leader, right? It should allow people to, feel like they can trust you and get to know you a little bit more. They should be able to look at your content, even something like a LinkedIn newsletter, and know, okay, Nancy and Scott, they know what they're talking about. They've got some cited articles and, they really dug into this topic. So always make sure when you post, you have a clear goal. So don't be that person. Okay. The other thing is the person who is just repurposing, like Scott said, like from Instagram or TikTok, right? They're just repurposing wildly and they're not tweaking things to make it more efficient or, optimize for LinkedIn. The same content that you're posting, the dances, the TikTok stuff, whatever, that is not what performs well on LinkedIn. Okay. In fact, that makes people go, ooh, okay. Again, it's a totally different crowd. We're talking about CEOs, we're talking about business professionals, we're talking about great, collaborations that you can start. So when you repurpose without relevance, that's not a good tactic. Okay. The next person is the person who is really stretched too thin and they are just using AI or creating a bunch of generic content. Again, right? If you're stretched thin and you don't have time to create the content, then don't. I mean, is honestly my opinion. The thing is whenever you just plain post whatever, post like honestly, the people who read it are going to feel it. They're going to know that, okay, this person's using AI or this person is not really sharing this. Please take the time to actually create intentional content. So posting generic crap, right, is not the way to go. And then the last person that I keep seeing is, and this is honestly one of my pet peeves, is a person who's just chasing vanity metrics. This person who's just going, oh, I just want likes and impressions and shares. And they join these things like, engagement pods and they start, getting their friends, hey, like my stuff and, whatever. Because the whole goal is to turn all of this into conversations, into leads. It's to build, potential power partners and relationships. It is not to get the like button. Okay. It is not just to say, hey, it's a popularity contest. I got a lot of likes on this one post. That doesn't matter. Now, in some cases, your post could take off and maybe you gain some extra followers, things like that. That's great. But if you are just chasing the vanity metrics, your priorities are off. Okay. I would challenge you, are those likes and impressions actually meaning something? Are they leading to sales? Are they turning into conversations and clients? And if they're not, we need to rethink our tactics a little bit. The next thing, and this is our other point, right, is you need to have a smarter strategy. You need to make sure, like I said, that you're posting with intention. You don't have to just go on there and go, oh, well, I'm just going to get a post out for today. And then you look at the thing and it's like, ugh, right? We have to be intentional. You have to make sure that, your post is actually something that your audience cares about. Is this something that resonates with your audience? Is this something that they care about? Using proven frameworks, right? Again, Scott said that we're sharing our 3 prompts. These are 3 little prompts that you can use to get started. I think the most common thing that we hear is people just don't know how to post content. They don't know what to post. Well, at least that's a great starting point. That's exactly why we created our community, the Expert Content Society, is because it can be a little hard. And sometimes, we don't know how to promote or talk about ourselves without being spammy or just plain provide value to our audience. The content should work for you while you're not even on the platform, right? Your content should be that thing where, I was telling someone the other day, your LinkedIn newsletter has the chance to come up in searches, whether someone's using AI or Google or, any kind of search engine. Guys, your articles from LinkedIn, whether someone's connected to you or not, have a chance of appearing. How cool. When someone searches your name, the things that usually come up first are your LinkedIn profile, right? So the thing is when we're able to put our best foot forward and we're able to put content out there that actually says, hey, I'm the expert in my space. I know what I'm talking about. Heck yeah. Scott, what about point four?
So the last thing that we wanted to kind of finish with is, well, number one, I want to kind of go over the types of posts that convert, and I actually want to walk you through an example of this. So what we have found, and part of why we created the Expert Content Society, is not only for the community component because it is, coaches, consultants, and service professionals, but we wanted to create an easy way and a flow to create the types of content that really does convert. So people get 24 prompts every month that help them build out their LinkedIn content just by answering a few questions with each prompt. So whether it's a text post, an image text post, a newsletter edition, a poll, a carousel post, a quote post, a video, that's all there. Every month you get 24 new prompts. So you can pre-schedule your content way ahead of time. So what we have found is that there are four different types of posts that actually convert. And the first is the story post. So, one of our favorite posts that we suggest people to go through with our prompts is something called the origin story post, which anyone that downloads our free guide, one of the example posts is our origin story. And it helps to basically bridge how you got to where you are now, the whole story behind what you're doing. And that builds trust really fast because it basically lifts the curtain back, so to speak, on what you do, how you do it, and who you're doing it for. The second is the perspective post. So this will drive more comments and shares and more visibility because you're sharing your perspective on something, but you're also asking for your audience's perspective on this. How did they relate to it? How did they resonate with it? Share their feelings on it in the comments. And that's where you get a lot of those discussions because each quarter that's going by, comments in content, LinkedIn says, is increasing every single month, 25 to 30%. So they are rewarding for more conversational type of content. So the third is the value post. So this is where you establish your credibility. So someone that is looking to stand out, showcase your expertise in this type of post. So something that I like to do is within my LinkedIn newsletter edition is showcase my value and what I know. So my newsletter is called LinkedIn Tips and Updates. So every week, every Friday at 10 a.m. or 7:30 a.m., I release a new edition that is just full of value. And it's about a component of LinkedIn, a strategy around LinkedIn, a new LinkedIn feature. And all it's doing is looking to build value. And then you have the conversion post, which this is meant to generate leads. So you're never selling and pitching, but an example of this is doing a LinkedIn Live that you're doing like a little mini training that has a specific call to action for the next step that you want the viewer and listener to take. So, if you would like to download our free guide, type me in the comments. If you'd like to build, book a free discovery call, type me in the comments. So when you're utilizing the conversion type of post, which video is best for conversion in all honesty, because when you're on video with people, they can see you, they can hear you, they can feel you. There's less of a bridge that needs to be gapped between yourself and the other person. So I did want to share a quick example and kind of like talk you through what this actually looks like, so you can get an idea of what I'm speaking about. So just to give you the idea is for me, I like sharing visual aids. So I did a post a couple weeks ago that was entitled, "It's not a visibility problem, it's a relevance problem." So this was an infographic that I created. And it basically, the infograph states, most people think my content isn't getting seen, but the reality is your content isn't relevant enough to engage with. And then I went through what doesn't work. Random posts, trending for the sake of trending, overly polished with no substance, but what is actually working? When your content solves real problems, speak to what your audience is struggling with right now, focus on real needs, not assumed value, but also show real expertise. Share experiences and case studies, talk about what worked and what didn't work, give clear, actionable steps. And people don't engage with perfection, they engage with clarity, relatability, and results. So that's what the infograph stated. And again, I had some content above it where I wanted people to share their feedback and their feelings. What did you take most away from this post? Let me know in the comments below. So I had 6 engagements and 17 comments. So there was a lot of conversation going on with this. So you have to make sure that what you're doing on LinkedIn is full of value. If you want to start generating inbound leads to create more sales in your business, and I shared this with Nancy the other day, in the last 5 weeks, I've picked up 4 new clients. 3 were from people that reached out to me from my content. 1 was a referral. So if you think that there's no way your content can actually produce sales, you're wrong. I'm telling you right now, it will when it's done the right way. So just remember, we're not telling you not to post on LinkedIn, but we want you to do it the right way. Don't post just to post, right? Don't just repurpose and reshare. Think about what you're looking to accomplish on the platform. You're not looking for the vanity metrics. You're looking to build trust. You're looking to build um, relatability. You're looking to build positive relationships. So before we end today's training, again, if you would like our free guide, our free template for the 3 high impact posts for LinkedIn content for visibility and business growth, just type me in the comments if you're watching on social. If you're listening on the podcast, just go to the description. You can grab the link there. So we do hope you found today's episode and today's training helpful. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you next time.